Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. I'm Lauren Conlin. Welcome to Los Angeles Magazine, our YouTube channel. I decided to do this live stream very last minute because I wanted to go over the extremely disturbing criminal complaint against Timothy Busfield, the actor. There is an arrest warrant right now that has been issued. It is unclear if he has been taken into custody. However, I did do a brief search on Vine to see if he was put in any type of jail or detained, or if he turned himself in. I could not find anything on that. Hey, Flojo, good to see you. As of right now, again, the case is still in its very early stages, and he has not been detained. But I have a feeling that this is going to start making the news a little bit more than it has, because I just kind of skimmed the criminal complaint to write an article to put out like an AP style article. And I'm going to go over everything with you right now. I'm going to go over the complaint in a lot more detail. I have it right here. But before we do, I'll just give you just a little bit of a background on what is going on. So I wrote an article this morning on lamag.com. No, John and Warren, he's not from Rookie of the Year. He's actually from Little Big League. If you're a millennial, oh, this is Field of Dreams, but if you're a millennial, you may have watched Little Big League. But John is making a joke because I had an experience with Timothy Busfield when I was 20, maybe 21 years old. I was waitressing in New York City, and he came into the restaurant. And he was super nice. I'm just going to put all this out there. These allegations are very disturbing, but my experience when he came in, maybe I'm too old for him. That's a horrible joke. But he sat down, and I was so stupid. I was like, aren't you the guy from Rookie of the Year? And meanwhile, he's been in a lot of other high profile movies, of course, like Field of Dreams. I mean, he's got a lot of stuff under his belt. And I'm like, are you the guy from Rookie of the Year? And he was very kind. He was just like, nope, I'm from Little Big League. And I was like, got it, cool. And he was nice about it. He could have been a total jerk, but he wasn't. So anyway, Timothy Busfield has been accused of grooming two little boys on the set of the Fox show, The Cleaning Lady, where he is a director. He directed something like 6 some odd episodes. He has appeared in multiple episodes, and this allegedly happened between 2022 and 2024. And the boys did not come forward at first because they were scared. They said, this guy's our director. We didn't want to say anything at first, but one of the boys was experiencing, some pretty traumatic PTSD things that were going on, like wetting the bed, and I'll get into all of that. So the police were first notified in 2024 about possible abuse, and they basically had to launch an investigation. And the criminal complaint is so detailed. It really is so detailed. I mean, like what they go through, I guess, to obviously, for their current investigation is a lot, but what they sort of dredge up from the past is interesting as well. And they also have a section where they talk about actually calling Timothy Busfield himself with his wife, Melissa Gilbert, present. Melissa Gilbert, if you are not familiar, is the actor who really started as a child actor. She was on Little House. What is that? Little House on the Prairie? Yeah. And interestingly enough, several weeks ago, she posted on Instagram. And by the way, she has since deleted her Instagram, which has caused a whole just wave of conspiracy theories to open up online. I'll get into that. But she posted just coming at Megyn Kelly because of Megyn Kelly's comments about Jeffrey Epstein, saying, well, there's a difference between a 15-year-old and a 5-year-old. I don't know if you guys remember that, but Melissa Gilbert was just like, how dare you? I was 15 on the set of Little House on the Prairie, and I had to kiss this adult and XYZ. So she was, coming at her hard. And I just thought that was a little ironic given her husband's alleged situation. Hey, Charlie. So let's pull up the complaint right now. Oof. I feel like I've been talking just to avoid it because it is, again, it's disturbing, but this is why we're all here. So let me make this a bit bigger for you guys. And by the way, I went to submit a FOIA request for this, and then something told me to check Deadline because they always will have the complaint or the lawsuit or whatever it is. I swear Deadline is so good about that. Okay. Now let's get into it. So we can talk about, it starts off, Marvin Brown is the affiant, but the charge here is criminal sexual conduct of a minor, 2 counts, child abuse. So the preliminary investigation, and, I am going to sort of paraphrase some of this, but if you can see, you can sort of zoom in a bit if you really want to go word for word yourself. But okay, on 11/1/2024, Officer Osborne was dispatched to an address in reference to the caller, identified as Dr. Tyler Christensen of the University of New Mexico Hospital. The hospital was calling for a sexual abuse investigation. So they talked with the parents, Angel and Ronald, who had advised that their children are child actors and had been on a television series called The Cleaning Lady. A new director, identified as Timothy Busfield, joined the series and grew closer to the boys. And it was reported that Timothy would tell the boys to call him, quote, Uncle Tim. That's gross. Ronald and Angel told Officer Osborne that they both discovered that there were allegations against Timothy of sexual assault against both women and minors. So really quick, when I first heard about this, I had initially just read an article about alleged grooming. And I was like, okay, I feel like this could possibly be hard to prove. And then I don't know why I wasn't really aware of this, but I just wasn't. He has a past. Timothy Busfield has a very public past where, I kept thinking, well, he's been on set with children for decades. Why have we not heard anything else about this? Well, we have. I just hadn't heard about it. I'm the one that hadn't heard. Crazy. So he was accused of assaulting a minor, a 17-year-old, on the set of Little Big League. And this suit was, it was a federal lawsuit, a civil suit, and it was eventually dismissed. But Timothy Busfield actually countersued the girl that filed this lawsuit. He lost. He was ordered to pay like $150,000 worth of legal fees in court. But yeah, it was a whole thing. And then in 2012, he was also accused of forcibly touching a 28-year-old woman, this time at a Los Angeles movie theater. And prosecutors could not move forward with criminal charges because there just wasn't enough evidence in this case. So the case was dropped. However, it was pretty public at the time. So again, I was like, oh, okay, I feel like this might be tough. And then again, going back to past allegations and then reading this criminal complaint, I am like, okay, I am actually really, really disgusted. And some people allegedly are just sexual deviants, if you will. Okay, so back to the complaint. I'll make it a little bigger. That doesn't really work, does it? That's not the criminal. Okay, there we go. There we go. All right, so Ronald told Officer Osborne there had been multiple rumors that Timothy had been, quote, handsy with a woman. Angel informed Officer Osborne that she had asked their children, VL and SL, who were 11 years old at the time, if anyone had ever touched them in a manner that made them feel uncomfortable. The children responded by asking, "You mean like Uncle Tim?" Oof. Ronald went to a law firm that recommended the two take the children to UNMH, which they did. It was reported that while at UNMH, the staff there advised that the children were groomed. So they did some kind of forensic exam, and this is what they had determined. So Officer Osborne talked with both of the kids, who didn't disclose any sexual contact at this time. However, both boys advised that Timothy Busfield, who they referred to as Uncle Tim, would tickle them on the stomach and the legs, and neither of the boys cared for tickling. Sorry, I'm just going to put my glasses on. Officer Osborne contacted Detective Michael Brown with the Crimes Against Children unit and determined that the case didn't meet their acceptance criteria at this time. And I think that is what I had kind of first read, is that it was just touching and tickling and so I was just like, okay, this would be tough, but just wait for it. We're not done yet. Okay. On 10/3/2025, Angel LaSalle reported to Child Protective Services that her children both disclosed that there was SA by Timothy from November of 2022 to the spring of 2024. And Angel advised that she had filed a police report, but was initially told by law enforcement that since Timothy had not physically touched the children, there was nothing they could do. So now Angel advised that her children were groomed and SA'd by Timothy. So she advised that on September 2nd, 2025, SL reported to his counselor that Timothy Busfield touched his penis and his butt. I don't know why. I am an adult and I have a hard time saying the actual terms of anatomy. Like, my kids actually are better than that. I'll be like, sorry, I shouldn't even get into this, but anyway. Sorry. Okay. I don't know why I always have a hard time with saying it. I think it's because it's pertaining to kids. Oh, wow. So sorry, just going to the chat. This is so crazy. I think, again, because I don't have a moderator just yet, it's wild to see these chats. Need to feed my family, bro. I'm stranded. Give me 150. Cool. Got it. Okay. You know what? Let's ban that user and maybe delete the comments. All right. Okay. So safe house interviews. On October 14th, 2025, a safe house interview was scheduled for VL and SL the morning of Halloween. So on 10/17/2025, this is the affiant speaking, he contacted Angel by phone, who was out of town, traveling with her husband, Ronald, and she spoke with the two on speakerphone and advised them that he would be investigating SL and VL's disclosures to their therapist. So she told him on September 3rd that one of the kids, SL, disclosed to the therapist, her name is Yolanda Yeoman, who works at All Faiths Children Advocacy, that Timothy Busfield touched both his genitalia and his bottom. And she also advised that on September 22nd, SL disclosed to his pediatrician at Journey Pediatrics that Timothy Busfield touched both his genitalia and his bottom. So he submitted 2 search warrants on October 23rd, 2025 for approval to the DA's office for SL's medical records from Journey and All Faiths. And on the 24th, he executed both search warrants for SL's medical records. He received the medical records and the therapist records from All Faiths. He reviewed them, and he Yeoman diagnosed SL, who was 10 years old at the time, with post-traumatic stress disorder. And he also viewed an incident report submitted on September 25th by Yeoman that documented SL disclosing that a director of a series in which SL was an actor had engaged in inappropriate touching. Previous disclosures were being touched on the arm, chest, and back. While Yeoman was updating SL's treatment plan, SL disclosed that the director had also touched his penis and his butt. Yeoman documented SL disclosing having nightmares about the director touching him and him waking up scared. He also disclosed that the director had touched and rubbed his penis 3 or 4 times, and he appeared to be very ashamed. So the boy, he seemed to sort of feel more comfortable in sharing this, and the allegations began to escalate. So let me see. Okay. And now he goes to Journey Pediatrics. So on October 29th, 2025, he reviewed the patient care for SL submitted by the doctor, Dr. Zoe Howell. And the most recent encounter on September 22nd discussed an assessment plan for the SA of a child. So he didn't find any disclosures from SL, the minor, during this visit. But on June 24th, 2025, SL saw Dr. Howell, and he was accompanied by his mom, who gave the background of the criminal sexual contact involving a member working on the set of the TV series The Cleaning Lady. So after reviewing past medical records, it was documented that SL and his brother, they were child actors in the show called The Cleaning Lady, and they experienced grooming and inappropriate touching by a member on the set between 2023 and 2024. Okay, so SL had issues that were documented by the pediatrician of bedwetting, along with other behavioral issues. He was diagnosed with PTSD and anxiety, and he was not currently on medication. And that just breaks my heart. I mean, I just feel like kids don't know how to verbalize this, and they're very ashamed. Of course, I'm not a doctor, but I've covered a lot of these cases, and it causes them to act out in different ways, and it's heartbreaking. They don't know what to do. So okay, let me see. Can you tell what you were explaining so I can have an idea? Sure. This is the criminal complaint against actor-director Timothy Busfield. He is facing child SA charges. So if you were just joining us, that is what we were discussing. So now we're getting to the safe house interviews. So SL was the first child to be interviewed, and SL told the interviewer at the safe house, and this is October of 2025, that Tim touched him while he was on a set. And he told the interviewer for the first time that Tim touched him when he was 7 years old. He described it as his parents no longer having an iPad to watch the set. And when the director, who was Tim, said cut, Tim would come into the bedroom on the movie set and touch SL's private areas. Ugh. SL provided a drawing to the interviewer showing how he was alone with Tim. SL said that Tim would grab his waist with both hands while SL was lying on his back in the bed of the movie set. Tim would then, okay, I don't want to get, basically he would touch him where the kid said he pooped and peed. So, and he said that it was 5 to 6 times between sets, and it was over the clothing. And after the sets were over, SL said he was scared, and he used to speed walk to his dad, and then he used to hide behind his dad. That's sad. He said the second time he was touched, he was 8 years old. While he was on the set, he describes the same thing that happened on the first set. So he said he touched him 3 to 4 times where he pooped and peed over his clothes, and he was very afraid of Tim while off set, and he was afraid to tell anyone because Tim was the director and he would get mad at him. So he advised that Tim touched him while he was only on set filming in Albuquerque. And he learned that the TV series, The Cleaning Lady, was filmed at this location in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And yes, and that's that. So now we're going to his brother. His brother's interview. During VL's interview, he told the interviewer that his dad was worried about him because Mr. Tim was touching his brother and him. VL advised that Mr. Tim was the director of a show, and they had a lot of directors, but Mr. Tim was the new director. So I know it's disgusting. I'm like so grossed out. And I know that these are allegations, guys. You know, everyone is innocent until proven guilty. But this guy, Timothy Busfield, he does have a past. He does. And I reached out, by the way, for comment. I reached out to his lawyers. Haven't heard back, but I don't think any media outlet has actually heard back yet from what I can see so far. Oh, you know what? Sorry, I can make this bigger for everybody if you prefer. Let me know. I mean, if you don't care, that's fine too. But okay, so VL explained that Mr. Tim started touching them for the first 2 years, and he didn't want to say anything because he didn't want to be mean. Therefore, VL didn't say anything. And this is also the problem. Like, kids are told to respect their elders, respect adults, and it's just sucks when a kid is put in this position and they just feel that way. Like, oh, this is my teacher, this is my director, I can't disrespect him and I have to just endure this. No, kids, everybody should tell their kids, you don't have to endure this. You need to respect your elders, of course, sure, unless they touch you inappropriately or they say things to you that are inappropriate. Kids also are like adults. Kids get a gut feeling. I tell my own kids, if you get that gut feeling, get out of the situation and come and tell me about it. Okay. Or tell the nearest teacher about it or nearest adult about it. Okay, so it says VL said Mr. Tim would start touching him with his hands about his body while they were filming in the quote house. VL advised that it was about his body, but did not disclose, or VL advised that it was about his body, but did not disclose that he was touched on his buttocks or his penis area. VL said he did not like being touched, but didn't say anything because he didn't want to get in trouble. Now this is the follow-up. So he followed up, this is the detective with their mother on November 3rd, 2025. He followed up with some questions after SL's Safe House interview. So Angel talked to him about the iPads that the crew would hand out to parents while their children were filming. This would allow parents to watch their kids while they were filming. I did not know that was a thing. That's kind of interesting. She couldn't remember the exact date when they quit passing the iPads out, but she advised it was after Timothy started directing. So he asked Angel to explain how SL was allowed to be alone with Timothy while on the movie set when there were other people around. And she advised him that when the director is directing someone in a scene, a lot of the time people will let them just talk, just the two of them, whoever it is. And then when the director says cut, a lot of the time people are rushing around trying to get to the next shot. So there is time for them to be alone briefly, not too long, it seemed like, but yeah, clearly enough time. So she advised that she had started noticing SL becoming uncomfortable around Timothy. And she saw this during a live photo that was taken of Timothy and SL, and Timothy was caressing SL's head. Ugh, gross. You've never heard, I mean, I feel like if you look him up, you definitely would have seen some movies that he's been in for sure, because he has been in a ton of films. I mean, a ton. Just look up his resume. You've definitely seen him in something. Okay, so then this is now the Timothy Busfield interview. The detective called Busfield on November 3rd, 2025, left a message with him asking for him to return his call. And at 10:44, he received a call from Timothy Busfield, who advised him that he was on speakerphone with he and his wife, Melissa Gilbert. So Timothy told the investigator, the police officer, that the two were in New York at the time. And I did advise him that I was investigating a case that was assigned to me and asked if Timothy would like to speak with me about this case. Timothy did want to speak with me at this time. So I did inform Timothy that Detective Josh Dennison would be sitting in on the interview and that I would need to read him the Miranda warning before starting the interview. At 10:47 a.m., Timothy Busfield agreed to talk with me after the Miranda warning. I am shocked that Timothy Busfield did not want to speak with a lawyer present. I don't know if you guys are shocked, but he has clearly been through this process before. Why would he not want a lawyer present? That is so strange, or in my opinion. And also, I'm one of those people, by the way, I don't think it's weird or is any sign of guilt if somebody wants to obtain a lawyer about something without being charged yet. Or, I mean, I know some people are like, well, he got a lawyer. You know what that means? I'm not mad about that. I'm not mad about anybody getting lawyers during this day and age that we're in, where everybody gets sued for everything. And, it's tough sometimes to know the truth. So this is very interesting to me, but okay, moving on. So 10:47 a.m., Timothy Busfield agrees to talk after the Miranda warning. He explained to Timothy that a child had disclosed information about something that had happened to him while he was directing this child on the show The Cleaning Lady. Timothy told the investigator that he started directing the show in season 2, very close to the final episode, about 3 years ago in 2022. And he said there's 12 episodes and that it was probably episode 11. He asked Timothy if he remembered if there were iPads for the parents to watch their children while they were on set. And Timothy said, "We don't really like that parents had iPads while on set, and that it was not a standard process and that they do not encourage it." Okay. He asked Timothy if parents were ever allowed to have iPads to watch their children before he started directing The Cleaning Lady. And he said, yeah, there might have been iPads. And then he continued to say that the kids were never alone on set without the teacher, who was a welfare worker or a parent. He said that he didn't know the iPad was taken away and that this would not have gone through him. So he's basically saying, like, if they didn't have iPads, I had nothing to do with it. Okay. He asked if he knew who the kids were on episode 11, season 2, and Timothy replied that the showrunners were let go. I don't know what that, okay. Let me get through this and then I'll go back. But the creator of the show's option wasn't picked up. Okay. And the 2 boys were replaced by a younger boy whom they auditioned. Timothy said the parents had a problem with this. Timothy said that in the spring, he got a call from Warner Brothers saying they were investigating a complaint. Okay, I see what's going on. So Timothy Busfield is saying that, oh, okay. Are you guys seeing this now? Busfield is saying that this was made up because the boys were replaced. That's what I'm gathering. He says they're angry. The parents are angry. They were replaced. And there was an investigation that was launched because of this sexual abuse complaint. But really, it stems from parents being angry that their kids lost a job. Okay. That's what I gather from it. If you guys think otherwise, let me know what you're thinking, but we'll go on. Yeah. Okay. So then he said, yeah, Timothy said that in the spring, he gets a call from Warner Brothers saying they're investigating complaint. Timothy said Warner Brothers had an outside investigation through another firm do an investigation. Timothy was told there were complaints about him from these boys, and Timothy acknowledged the boys involved were SL and VL. And Timothy said the investigation began in the spring of this year around April. Timothy told me the lead actress, Elodie Young, said the mother of SL and VL said she wanted revenge, and I'm going to get my revenge on Tim Busfield for not bringing the kids back for the final season. Okay. I mean, I hope we hear from Elodie Young if the mother said this. Timothy did describe a bedroom setting along with the hospital setting with a bed or gurney for SL and VL to lie on. Now, this is consistent with the setting SL described in his Safe House interview. Timothy advised that he had only directed SL and VL on the Pan American Freeway set in Albuquerque. The investigator did ask Timothy if he ever had any physical contact with these boys, if he ever picked them up and tickled them. And Timothy said it was highly likely that he would have. He said it was a, quote, playful environment, like he wanted it to be a playful environment. He said, the investigator asked, is that allowed? And Timothy initially said, it's not allowed at all. There is no protocol. I mean, I'm always around people, right? It would be, in front of the parents. There would never be a weird moment about it. I don't really remember picking those boys up. I remember picking up the boy that followed them. I'd pick him up, he'd be giggling, and that would sort of get him ready to act. Okay. Timothy then stated, I don't remember those boys. No, I don't. I don't remember it. If it happened, I don't remember overly tickling the boys ever, but it wouldn't be uncommon for me. Holy crap. What kind of statement is that? Seriously? That was in quotations. So that seems like it was taken directly from Busfield from the interview. That is insane. First, he answers, it's not allowed at all. Then he says there is no protocol. Then he says, I don't remember tickling those boys. I don't remember overtly tickling those boys, but it wouldn't be uncommon for me. Okay. So he is saying, sorry, I read that wrong. It's overtly. I read the word without the T. So that's an interesting statement. I just feel like there's a little bit of deception there. He's basically saying, yeah, I probably did tickle them. That's what I'm translating from this. Ugh. I mean, how about you just don't touch kids in general, because it's just weird if you're not, you're not, I don't know. Okay. So Timothy and his wife Melissa did tell me that before this, they did have a relationship with SL and VL and their family outside of work. They advised that they did buy the two boys Christmas gifts and were together on several social functions. Okay. So this is where I think it starts to get a little weird online. I mean, some of these accusations and these conspiracies online about Timothy and Melissa, they accuse both of them of just being creepy about kids. They said Melissa's, and I follow Melissa Gilbert on Instagram. I don't recall her Instagram before she deleted it. I didn't go and look at it on a regular basis, but apparently she had just photos of children from, she was saying that these were kids she sponsored or they were kids at orphanages. Let me find Melissa Gilbert. There was, I have to find it because it was really weird and creepy. Yeah, I don't, okay. So this is a little too much. Like, this is not, I'm not trying to totally go here. Yeah, see, this is what I try to stay away from. Melissa Gilbert has taken down her Instagram account. As of January 10th, 2026, Melissa uploaded multiple pictures of random children to her Instagram account. No matter what these global cabal members do, the internet is forever, and they can't hide anymore since the mainstream media and the pedowood propaganda are no longer fools to the masses. I mean, let me see. Timothy Busfield has been accused. Okay. Yeah, so they're basically saying Timothy Busfield and his wife are Pizzagate members. That's where I'm not trying to go there. I'm really not. But oh, these do look like Melissa Gilbert's. Yeah, they are her actual Instagram posts. Okay. Yeah, so these are orphans. These are all right. It looks like they're kids in the Bahamas or something. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely a bit intrigued, I guess, at this point, if Melissa Gilbert is saying that they were close with the kids and they bought the kids gifts and they kind of hung out with the family as well. And Timothy Busfield doesn't have a memory of ever tickling them, but he's sure that he did. I guess it's kind of like, well, if you were with them a lot, most likely, yeah, you did. Just say yes. Yeah, okay. All right. Well, let's get back to it, because now again I'm a little bit more intrigued. So they bought the two boys Christmas gifts and were together on several social functions. I'm just scrolling back up for a second. So I asked him if he knew who the children were on episode 11. Okay. Yeah, so he knew right away, and he told the investigator basically that the mother was getting back at him for firing her kids. Okay, here we go. The Elodie Young interview. All right, I'm interested in this. Elodie Young, the investigator contacted her on 11/5. She agreed to meet with him, and he initially advised Elodie that Tim Busfield gave her name and said that she may have information about the case. Ooh. But then on 11/6, Elodie left a voicemail declining to speak with me and said that she does not want to be involved with the investigation and that she would not have any information that could assist in the case. This voicemail was uploaded to evidence.com. Okay, so why would she not want to speak out? Hmm. Huh. That is interesting. If this case were to go to trial, I think most likely that she would be subpoenaed as a witness and she would have to testify. Uh, that's pretty crazy. All right. Taylor Trujillo, I don't even know how to pronounce his last name. Taylor Trujillo interview. Let's just say Taylor so I don't embarrass myself. On 11/14, I was able to contact Taylor, who was a PA, that's a production assistant, on the TV set of The Cleaning Lady while SL and VL were on set. She advised that there would be over 100 people working during the production of The Cleaning Lady and that everyone had their specific job and didn't really focus on other jobs that were being done by other personnel. So she explained that it wasn't uncommon for groups of different jobs to be done at different times. And she did advise that she remembered child actors, especially SL and his parents. Taylor advised that she was familiar with the rules that pertain to children or child actors. And one of those rules was that a child should have a set teacher who would watch the children and advocate, for them during production. Taylor said that she remembered SL's teacher, his name was Lee, his set teacher, who seemed to lose track of what the child actors were doing. So she said that she remembered that SL seemed to be kind of riding a skateboard and he was unsupervised. And when Lee, the teacher, was asked about this, she didn't have an answer as to why he was unsupervised. She also said she felt like SL's parents weren't from the industry and didn't understand their rights as parents. So she said that the set teacher's job was to help with this and be an advocate for the children. And she said that she has seen directors alone with child actors when there should have been a parent or set teacher with them. That is definitely concerning. And that's also something that I think we heard a lot about. If you watch that documentary, I think it was 2024, Quiet on the Set, The Dark Side of Kids TV, there were reports that the kids were alone a lot of the time on set and they weren't being watched and they weren't exactly being cared for as they should. And that's terrifying because not only were they documenting examples of this from the 90s, they were documenting examples of this from, last year. And clearly it looks like it's still happening based on this from Taylor, a production assistant. So Taylor told the investigators she noticed that SL and VL didn't want to be there anymore. When she first met them, they were very happy, bubbly children. And towards the end of season 2, around the time that Busfield came in, and all of season 3, especially SL, they started acting difficult and they were not happy. That makes sense. When he asked about touching actors or children when they weren't being filmed or scripted, if touching them was allowed, Taylor said it wasn't allowed and that it was very unprofessional for anyone to touch or tickle anyone. But Taylor remembered that Timothy was being very touchy with certain people and she felt like it was unprofessional. So then he did another interview, the investigator, with another production assistant on The Cleaning Lady. Her name is Lauren and she has the same last name as Taylor, so they're probably related. I'm not going to say her last name, but she was familiar with an investigation involving SL and VL and Timothy Busfield, and she advised him that she never saw anything that would require her to report something to the police, but she did see some abnormal behavior on set. So she said that she remembered the room the two boys were filming in and that she told the investigators she saw Timothy in the room alone with SL. Oh no, she saw him in the room with SL and VL, but she doesn't remember if they were alone. But she advised that it could have been possible due to the set teacher always hanging out in the first team holding area where there were no monitors. And again, this set teacher would lose sight of the children. That's so annoying. Can we get rid of this person, Lee? Lauren said that shouldn't happen. That's why they have set teachers. They're supposed to keep an eye on it, but it's on the kids, but it's absolutely possible. She said Lee was an older lady and she didn't really keep a super close eye on the kids. She explained that there were a couple of times they'd be running around and they would literally almost get hit by other crew members carrying stuff. So the crew members were trying to dodge the kids and they're all like, where the hell is this set teacher? She remembered that towards the end of season two and in season 3, SL became, excuse me, pretty withdrawn. SL did not seem like he wanted to act and he didn't seem like he wanted to be there. They ended up using VL a lot more because he was happier to do the scenes and happier to be there. And SL just kind of withdrew. And this behavior is just on track with a child that has been touched or groomed, 100%. The withdrawn, unhappy, disengaged, that is so incredibly sad. Oh my gosh, heartbreaking. Okay, so now this is Lee Lewin, the set teacher. He contacted Lee towards the end of November, and he spoke with Lee on the phone, who said she was the studio teacher for SL and VL, and she said she would sometimes monitor SL and VL while on set to see if they are working in a dangerous situation or in a situation where she felt like there was risk. She said that she would hang out by the first team where there were no monitors during filming. So she's admitting this. Obviously, she kind of has to. And he asked Lee if there was something that stuck out with SL and VL during her time with them. And she said that SL became very reluctant to be on set, which he wasn't in the beginning, and that SL was very enthusiastic about it. But then at a certain point, he just didn't want to be there. And so Lee said that whether they were in a schoolroom or at the table right behind the set, he would just have his head down. Lee didn't understand why SL didn't want to go to the set, but he was pretty clear that he didn't want to do it. And Lee said that was a big change. After talking with Lauren, Taylor, and Lee, I believe Timothy had the opportunity to be alone with SL while he was lying in the bed on the TV set. Learning that the set teacher would frequently lose sight of the children by hanging out in the first teams where there were no monitors allowed, Timothy was left alone and not watched during this time. Yeah, that's not great. I wonder if she could potentially be held criminally liable. I think maybe we need more information, but I could definitely see that happening for sure. Okay, now the Warner Brothers search warrant. On October 3rd, he wrote a search warrant for Warner Brothers requesting access to production records and materials related to an independent investigation into on-set incidents during the filming of, specifically involving actor Timothy Busfield, any incident reports, witness statements, security footage about the referenced events. The information was mentioned to me during my interview with Timothy Busfield. So when the investigator interviewed Timothy on the phone, he told them that Warner Brothers did this independent investigation on their own. And now he is going to Warner Brothers saying, give me everything that you have. So he received a voicemail from Richard Wessling, who identified himself as an attorney for Warner Brothers and requested that he return the call. So November 13th, he called Richard Wessling and explained to Richard that he had sent a search warrant for the investigation done for Warner Brothers involving Busfield. And Richard was familiar with the investigation and told him that he would locate the search warrant, contact his client Warner Brothers to see how they could help with the return of the warrant. So let's see. He emailed a copy of the search warrant to Richard. He requested a return on the warrant within 10 days, explaining to Richard that this information could potentially be exculpatory. And then on the 21st, he received an email from Richard stating, Detective Brown, my apologies. I got your call earlier this week, but I needed to check with Warner Brother before getting back to you. First, I did receive the warrant and I have reviewed it with my client. Second, as I mentioned previously, the investigation was conducted under attorney-client privilege. Warner Brothers is working through the process of deciding whether to waive privilege and provide you with a copy of the report. I am hopeful I will have an answer next week and will reach out to you as soon as I know more. And then on December 18th, which is about a month later, roughly a little bit less, he received another email from Richard Wessling after he inquired again. And he got this email, which says, "Hope this email finds you well. My client has continued its internal process of evaluating whether to share the investigation report in response to the search warrant, despite the privileged nature of the report. I would like to speak with you about your current thinking when you have some availability. Let me know if you're free for a call." Okay. So on the 31st, he received the independent investigation requested in the search warrant to Warner Brothers. That's promising. I think Warner Brothers was possibly weighing if they had any criminal culpability of their own, but I don't, obviously I think they realized that by them doing this internal investigation, they were pretty much doing everything right, so to speak, unless they were, they could obviously always get sued for hiring someone like this Lee person who doesn't actually even watch the kids on set, but that maybe would be civil, not criminal. Okay, well, here now we're getting to the independent investigation prepared by Christina McGovern, who works at Solomon Law. The document was prepared on March 31st, 2025. So it says, on or about February 17th, 2025, an anonymous complainant made a complaint through the SAG-AFTRA hotline about an incident that allegedly occurred on the set of The Cleaning Lady on December 16th, 2024. According to the anonymous complainant, who claimed to have witnessed the incident in the hair and makeup trailer, executive producer director Timothy Busfield entered and kissed a minor male on the face as the minor was getting a haircut. The anonymous complainant further alleged that there are pictures of Mr. Busfield tickling and caressing the head and body of minor boys. Elodie Young did talk with Christian and stated she was shocked when Mrs. Rodas said to her and her husband that she did not like what her son's being terminated brought out of her, and that she would get her revenge against Timothy Busfield. Christina McGovern was not able to talk with anyone who would support evidence that Timothy Busfield engaged in this behavior. Okay, all right. So Warner Brothers, they could not corroborate Timothy Busfield's actions against the minor. That, I think, is important to note right here. So, okay, after reading the independent investigation, I wanted to contact other child actors to ensure their safety. While attempting to find contact information on the actors, I received an email from Richard Wessling, who stated below, "Detective Brown, I learned today that you reached out to Barry Howell, who is employed by my client. As I think we discussed previously, we represent the company and its employees. I would ask that to the extent you need to contact any of my employees in the future, you reach out to our firm as counsel. Please let me know if you have any issues with our request." So the lawyer's like, yeah, you need to go through us if you want to talk to these kids and their parents. You can't just do this on your own. So he contacted a few hair and makeup people. I'll just go through this quickly because we're almost done. I'm not going to read it word for word, but he said that one of the hair and makeup people, Danielle Vigil, she said that everyone knew to avoid Timothy because he was creepy. And she was also afraid of retaliation for talking with him because she was afraid that it would somehow get back to people and she would no longer be able to work with anyone in the industry. I definitely feel for her. That sucks, but I think she's doing the right thing here. She also said that while she was working with two child actors who replaced the twins, she witnessed Timothy Busfield come in and kiss the two child actors on their foreheads, but said that both of the kids' parents were present at the time and she just didn't know the rules or the etiquette. There also was another makeup artist here that said she was also afraid of retaliation in speaking to this detective, but she said she didn't really want to talk at all. Okay, that makes sense. And in conclusion here, he's kind of wrapped all of this up where he ties in, and I'll just go through this, he ties in previous allegations. So he says, in his training and experience, pedos are often able to infiltrate families under this trusted role. Like Timothy, who was the producer director, he exploited the hectic film sets to tickle and touch SL on his penis and his butt, masking it as play. He also invited the family to offset gatherings with his wife, buying Christmas gifts to foster closeness, making SL feel special, dependent, calling this classic grooming to erode boundaries, isolate the victim, and silence suspicions, blending abuse into normalcy. That kind of gave me chills. That's so accurate in my experience. And then he said he discovered that Timothy Busfield has faced numerous allegations of SA, with two separate incidents reported in the media, one in the 90s and another around 2012. And this is 1994. A 17-year-old extra on Little Big League sued in Los Angeles Superior Court, claiming Busfield assaulted her, served her alcohol, groped her, and attempted to have sex with her in a trailer. And she was denied, denied by Busfield. He denied all these allegations. He countersued her for extortion. I kind of talked about this at the beginning. And the party settled privately, and his later defamation bid against her lawyers got tossed, and that left him to foot a very hefty $150,000 legal bill. And then the second allegation was in 2012. A 28-year-old woman accused Busfield of battery in a Los Angeles movie theater, alleging he slipped his hands under her clothes and touched her for 4 minutes. That's a very long time. Police took this report under Code 243.4, but prosecutors passed due to slim evidence. He called it consensual. There was no arrest, no lawsuit, case closed. So now he goes back to just saying SL has been in therapy and has had major issues with bedwetting, along other behavioral issues. And SL was diagnosed with PTSD and anxiety, swears, perjury, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So we've gotten most of this here. Most of this read. We basically read all of it. I don't know what you guys think, but what do you think about Elodie Young, the actress, saying she heard SL's mother say that she would get back at Timothy Busfield? I mean, Elodie Young doesn't want to talk at this point, but also SL seems to be experiencing the symptoms of somebody that did experience SA. So, I mean, this is pretty crazy, and this is pretty disturbing. Again, seeing how Busfield has some past allegations, and like, think of what possibly hasn't been reported. And again, I'm guessing on that, but pretty wild. And I want to just reiterate, everybody is innocent until proven guilty, of course. But this seems plausible, except for the whole Elodie Young thing. But the fact that she didn't want to speak to detectives is so strange to me. I don't understand that. Maybe she was advised by a lawyer to stay out of it, but this is a criminal case. This is not a civil suit. So I do also think that the parents technically did it right by going to the police instead of going directly to a lawyer and saying, hey, I want to sue for money and damages, right? I mean, I think a civil suit could definitely come after, but I think that the fact, again, the parents went to the police gives this criminal case just more validity. Let me know what you guys think. But yeah, John, I agree. It is amazing that they get work after all the allegations over the years. But with Timothy Busfield, I mean, he was never arrested, never charged for the Los Angeles movie theater incident. And the Little Big League incident was a super long time ago, and they settled that sort of privately. So nothing ever really came from that. It just is like kind of gross and creepy, So gross and creepy. But I don't know. I don't know what to make of all this, but do I think his wife knew? I don't know if you were here for when I pulled up the part about the detective speaking to both of them on the phone, where she actually said she bought the kids Christmas presents. They got close to the family. And I like, is that weird? I mean, why get close to the kids' family on set? I guess I don't really understand that. Why not just mind your business, right? The kids are at work, they leave after work, they go home with their parents. Why invite them to a barbecue? Why just I don't know. So yeah, I think that his wife did know. And I'm this case, I mean, I'm assuming that this detective most likely has photos as well, or if he doesn't have them now, he will obtain these photos that they were speaking of that people had. And I'm sure if they screenshotted stuff somehow from this iPad, that will go into evidence as well. But allegedly, there's live photos of Timothy touching and kissing the child actors on the heads. I just think that's super weird. I mean, like, if I'm a parent, I mean, I am a parent, but if I'm on a set, don't touch my kid. I don't want, like, I'm thinking about this. I don't want anyone touching my kid. I don't care if you're a male or a female. And when I say touch, don't tickle my kid. Don't kiss my kid on the forehead. If you're Timothy Busfield, don't look at my kid. No, I'm just kidding. But really, like, it's yeah. Let me see if I'm missing anything else. So if there's a case number on here, let me see. There's just a docket number. But like I said, there's no there's no indictment. There's nothing like that available in a New Mexico docket. And also there's again nothing showing that he is being held in any type of jail. And I mean, like, I obviously think he would get bail, right, upon being arrested if they were even going to detain him, but he would be able to post bail, very easily, I'm guessing. So I just wanted to check. I wanted to just make sure that he wasn't detained for even an hour. But nothing yet. But right, don't touch my kid. Just literally don't look at my kid, whatever. This is actually so crazy. Hold on. I found this book. I don't even know. You guys are gonna die. This is from it's 1984. It's okay to say no. Can you see this? It's so crazy. It's like yeah, it's bad. I think it was 1984. I found it in my apartment. I don't know why I have this book from 1984. But I do, and it has like situations like Freddie's story. And I actually just was reading it out loud to my kids who are almost 10 and 7 the other day. And you know, it actually is, I don't know, it helped a little bit because it has situations like this. Betty's story, David's story. So it has like dumb stuff where it says, like, David's playing baseball with his friends, and they're about to leave, and some man is watching them play baseball, and David noticed the man, and the man approached one of David's friends and said, hey, and his friend said, hey, this man's going to walk me home. And David said, do you know this man? And his friend said no. And David grabbed his friend and said, come with us. And they ran away. What would you have done? It's like stuff like that. So I was like, okay, I'll read this to my kids. Why not? Without giving them stranger danger nightmares. But yeah, totally crazy, totally weird. Anyway, yeah, I think those conversations are super important to have. And I will be following this story closely. Let me see, before we go, I'll pull up my my article that I posted from LA Mag that will just give a few more details. And I'll scroll down because I have Warner Brothers statement. Where is it? I did post part of the docket. Okay. Did I could have sworn I I'm like, I think okay. What the hell? I really thought I included Warner Brothers. Okay, no, I did. I'm insane. Okay. Sorry, I am insane. Now, okay. Now I found Warner Brothers statement. So Warner Brothers issued a statement on Saturday and they said the health and safety of our cast and crew is always our top priority, especially the safety of minors on our production. We take all allegations of misconduct very seriously and have systems in place to promptly and thoroughly investigate and, when needed, take appropriate action. We are aware of the current charges against Mr. Busfield and have been and will continue to cooperate with law enforcement. Okay, again, I think that's good, but I also want to point out, if you have been listening, their investigation could not corroborate the allegations because of Elodie Young's statement. Also, I don't even know what Elodie Young looks like. I don't know. I feel like I should. Let me look this actor up. And by the way, if you want to read the full article, let me actually drop it here in the chat. Head to lamag.com. You can follow us here, subscribe on YouTube, follow us on X, LA Mag, or me, Conlin_Lauren. Let's look up Elodie. Let me see. Oh, she's French. This is Elodie. I don't know her. I have not ever heard of her. I feel like I should have. Maybe I've seen something with her in it. I don't know. No idea. I'm guessing that she has been told not to speak, so by a lawyer. But anyway, all right. Well, what are you guys thinking? If you want to drop anything else in the chat, let me know. I'll hang out for a minute and see what you all have to say. But I will be following this case closely. I'm wondering when they're gonna get Busfield, if he's gonna self-surrender or what's gonna happen. But okay. I feel like everybody's had it. Everybody's heard enough today because again, this was kind of heavy, very disturbing. But thank you all for being here and joining my impromptu live stream. Again, if you are new, please subscribe to this channel, like this video, go check out all of our articles. Yeah, we are covering a lot right now, from Nick Reiner to Luigi Mangione to Nicolas Maduro, everything. All right, guys, have a good one. Thanks for being here.